Within 1 hour your blessing will be auctioned spiritually, unless you cover yourself with prayer now. Archangel Michael watches with a fierce and focused gaze, and today, he brings this urgent word not with whispers, but with a voice of divine thunder. There is movement in the spiritual realm, a stirring, a transaction prepared in secret chambers, and the name of the parchment is yours. Within 1 hour, if nothing changes, the unseen will attempt to barter what has already been promised to you by divine decree. This is not just a casual warning. This is not merely symbolic. It is not metaphor alone. What's unfolding above you is as real as the ground beneath your feet. The enemy, sensing a delay in your alignment, has prepared the counterfeit altar. And on it, your next promotion, your divine relationship, your breakthrough assignment, your release from generational strongholds. They intend to auction your blessing in spiritual shadows, to steal, delay, or misplace what was custom designed by the heavens for your legacy. That's why Archangel Michael has been dispatched to intercept, to announce, and to command the listener into holy awareness. That listener is you. Because you have not yet sealed this blessing in prayer, because you have hesitated in the stillness of preparation, the enemy has read this as permission. But this hour is not yet over. You still have time. Time to disrupt their agenda with the sound of spiritual warfare. Time to place the seal of prayer on what was supposed to be passed down through divine lineage. Archangel Michael makes this known now. What is happening in the next hour is critical to your spiritual inheritance. You are not powerless. You are not late. You are not invisible to the heavens. But you must rise. You must pray. You must speak over your atmosphere. The blessing meant for you is still within reach, but if silence continues, interference will multiply. This message is being released as a sacred alert. Not fear-based, but faith-activating. This is your hour to respond. This is your hour to align. And if you obey what's being spoken now, you will not only retain what is yours, you will gain what they tried to withhold. Now listen. Archangel Michael says this plainly and with unwavering intensity. Your name is echoing through invisible halls. Your file is being reviewed in spiritual courts, and a decision is about to be made without your agreement. Unless you intervene through prayer now, you have 1 hour. Just 60 minutes stand between you and the outcome that will echo into your next chapter. There are forces, unseen but active, preparing to exchange what was set aside for your elevation. These are not coincidences. They are coordinated. These are not random delays. They are spiritual obstructions. Archangel Michael has been sent to notify you, not to frighten you, but to call you to alignment. This is not an ordinary moment. This is a threshold moment, a sacred crossroad that, if crossed in silence, may cause the next season to enter with fragments instead of fullness. Do you understand? This message is not hypothetical. You are in the final hour before the altar is lit, before the offering is laid out, before a decision is made by those who were never authorized to handle your breakthrough. And yet, heaven does not yet remove your name. Grace still surrounds your assignment. But your voice is required now. In this hour, your alignment will seal the outcome. You must cover yourself in prayer. You must lift your voice to disrupt the auction. You must call back what was always yours. The reason Archangel Michael was dispatched is because the weight of this moment is too severe for casual attention. You were called for this. You are chosen to interrupt the cycle. This is your inheritance. This is your confirmation. This is your summons. You must rise. You must speak. You must cover the blessing in holy fire and declare that nothing forged against you will prosper. You are not watching this by accident. You are not hearing this by chance. This is the moment heaven pressed pause on everything else to speak directly to your spirit. 1 hour, one voice, one decision, and it begins with you. Type "I am protected" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1414 is now surrounding your life. Someone is already speaking your name, but not with reverence. They are whispering, twisting, preparing to claim what was never meant for them, and your silence has emboldened them. There's a quiet conversation happening about you. It's not in public. It's not in a place where you can defend yourself. It's in the realm of whispers, spiritual, emotional, relational whispers, where envy masks itself as concern, and where twisted loyalty tries to look like wisdom. Behind the veil of what seems like ordinary silence, a darker truth is unfolding. Someone is watching you not with admiration but with intention. Not with celebration but with calculation. A spirit of imitation and interception is near. They believe they can access the reward meant for your obedience. They believe your pause is a green light. They see your quietness and assume you forfeited your right to the promise. You've been misunderstood before, but this time it's deeper. This time, the misunderstanding is being weaponized. He's too late. He didn't pray. They've missed it. These words are floating in atmospheres not meant for your ears. But heaven hears them, and heaven has issued a holy rebuttal. But even heaven waits for your agreement. The truth is this: someone thought they knew your story. Someone believed they could write your ending. But they've only seen the trailer. They've mistaken a silent season for spiritual weakness. They're gambling with your inheritance, and the table is almost set. There are some spiritual battles you can't fight face to face. This isn't about confrontation in the flesh. This is about betrayal in the invisible. The enemy isn't always a person. It's a posture. It's the heart behind the words, the jealousy behind the gestures, the manipulation behind the smiles. There are people who once cheered for you, but now they cheer for your silence. Because if you stay quiet, they get a shot at what was never assigned to them. They're in conversation with spirits of delay, trying to talk down the value of your calling, like bidders trying to drive down the price of something sacred. They do not realize the danger of touching what heaven has consecrated. But here is the truth. Your delay was never denial. It was preparation. You were not absent. You were in alignment. While they were whispering in corridors, you were being carved in private. While they thought you were fading, you were being fortified. But now is not the time to remain silent. Because in the spirit realm, misinterpretation quickly turns into misappropriation. If you do not mark your blessing with prayer, someone else will attempt to rename it. Someone else will attempt to relabel your struggle as their strength. Someone will stand on a platform built with your unseen sacrifices. And it's not always a stranger. It may be someone close. A familiar voice with a dangerous agenda. A connection you once called safe, now guided by a silent competition you never agreed to enter. They see your gift, but not your grind. They want your reward, but not your water. And in just 1 hour, they intend to stand in a spiritual space you bled to enter. That's why Archangel Michael's message is so fierce, so urgent. Because your blessing is not just under observation, it's under threat. And yet, you have power. You have the power to speak, to disrupt, to reclaim. You have the authority to cover your name in the blood of divine protection. You have the right to shut down every conversation that is building momentum against your mission. You don't need an audience. You don't need to explain. You only need to speak, to pray, to declare. Because even now, someone is watching. Even now, someone is planning. Even now, someone is saying, I could take their place. But heaven disagrees. And the only way to make the truth final is for you to pray. Type I refuse to be replaced in the comments. Blessing code 555 is now surrounding your words. This was never just about people. This was never just about rumors, envy, or delay. This is a spiritual negotiation, and your destiny is the object of contention. What you are facing right now, the whispers, the tension, the subtle opposition, the sudden delay, the eerie quiet, it's not merely circumstantial. It's not just emotional. It's not just about what they said or what they did. What's happening around you, and more dangerously, beneath you, is a spiritually coded confrontation, a clash of kingdoms, a battle for birthrights. This isn't just about a moment being missed. It's about a mantle being misused. You see, your calling carries spiritual currency. Your obedience is like gold in the invisible realm. And every time you step closer to your purpose, it rattles the realm of darkness. That's why they suddenly started reacting. That's why people who once overlooked you now feel oddly compelled to monitor you. That's why your name is being brought up in conversations with a tone that doesn't match your heart. Because what's around you has sensed what's on you. You carry something that makes silence loud. You walk into places and shake atmospheres without speaking. Because you don't just enter, you carry divine vibration. And when you carry that kind of light, darkness doesn't ask questions. It reacts. It plots. It schemes. It conjures a vision. Not because of what you did, but because of who you are becoming. You are not under attack because you are weak. You are under attack because you are marked, chosen, consecrated. The conflict is not about the past. It's about your future. It's about the promise you haven't even fully stepped into yet. The enemy is nervous about a version of you that hasn't even arrived. And so, a counterfeit narrative is being assembled, not to defeat you, but to distract you. Because if the enemy can make you think it's personal, you'll fight people. But if you realize it's spiritual, you'll move in power. Let me be clear. This isn't personal. It's spiritual. The people involved, they're pawns, not principals. Attention. It's a smokescreen for a much deeper transaction. The auction being prepared isn't one of gold or silver. It's one of spiritual authority. They are attempting to trade your anointing for attention, your promise for popularity, your obedience for manipulation. And yet, heaven says, touch not my anointed. This conflict didn't start with you, and it won't end with you. It's generational. It's ancestral. Some of you are standing at the front lines of battles your bloodline never had the courage to confront. And that's why this pressure feels different. That's why the delay feels heavier than usual. You're not just fighting for a moment, you're holding ground for a movement. Your silence was the final echo of a season now closed. But now your voice must rise. Because this blessing was not just for you. It's for everything that will come through you. The enemy wants the blessing because the blessing opens doors you haven't even knocked on yet. It introduces you into rooms you didn't apply for. It writes your name on scrolls that predate your birth. It is deeply divine. That's why it's under siege. But understand this. They can't auction what you seal. They can't bid on what you bind in prayer. They can't rename what you've covered in divine authority. So lift your head, You are not a victim. You are not late. You are not missing your chance. You are not behind. You are right on the edge of elevation. The spiritual warfare you're facing is a loud confirmation that something sacred is being finalized. Don't fight the distraction. Don't argue with the whisperers. Don't post back at the mockers. Instead, enter the secret place and cover your name. Cover your future. Cover the blessing. Because the final word was never given to the ones talking behind your back. The final word belongs to the God that formed you in the secret place. Type "I am anointed" in the comments. Blessing code 777 is now wrapped around your household. In the next hour, a spiritual move is being prepared, and if you do not speak now, they will speak over what was promised to you. A counterfeit claim is loading and it's almost complete. There is a move happening right now in the unseen world, and it's not passive. It's not symbolic. It's intentional. While you go about your earthly routine, something in the spirit realm is being coordinated. Plans are unfolding. Conversations are being held in hidden corridors. Scrolls are being reviewed. And names are being brought forth, including yours. But not in honor, in assumption. Not in celebration, in contention. There is an unauthorized voice preparing to step into your atmosphere. A voice that intends to hijack what you've waited for, fasted for, cried for, and stayed faithful through the storms to receive. You must understand this. Spiritual blessings are not just showered. They are transferred. And if your name is unguarded, unspoken in prayer, uncovered in authority, it is vulnerable to spiritual theft. The auction is not a metaphor, it is a maneuver. A moment when spirits of deception present themselves at the gates of your breakthrough and attempt to barter with your name. They will stand on shaky altars and say you won't show up. He's too broken. They don't believe anymore. And in that lie, they attempt to purchase time, access, favor, all with counterfeit faith. That's why this hour is so urgent. That's why Archangel Michael is standing near, not observing, but intervening. Because the enemy has misunderstood your silence as surrender. They assumed your quiet obedience meant you didn't care. But heaven knows better. Heaven sees the war within you. The delay you didn't speak of. The prayers you whispered while everyone thought you were fine. But now, that internal battle is rising to an external test. And in this next hour, a decision will be made. If you don't rise in prayer, someone else will rise in manipulation. It may start subtly. A message from someone who was once close but now feels unfamiliar. A conversation with undertones of comparison, distraction, and discouragement. A suggestion that comes wrapped in opportunity but carries the scent of deception. The auction of your blessing begins not with chaos, but with convenience. It doesn't roar, it whispers. And if you don't discern it in time, you'll find yourself wondering how you lost something you never physically touched. Make no mistake, they are preparing to act. Right now. Not in theory, not in the future. Now. A spirit of delay is pushing someone to step out prematurely. They want to speak in your place. They want to sign what you were supposed to seal. They want to take your name and tie it to their assignment. But they can't have it. Not if you rise. Not if you speak. Not if you stand up in the next few minutes and cover your atmosphere with divine decrees. This is not paranoia. This is prophecy. You have been given a moment to interrupt their strategy. You have 60 minutes to shut it down. Not with rage, not with fear, but with prayer. With holy fire. With the authority that was always in your mouth, even when you forgot how powerful your voice was. This next hour determines whether the spiritual court hears their argument or yours, whether your promise is claimed by foreign hands or sealed by the one it was written for. Do not underestimate what's at stake. Your next financial release, tied to this hour, your next divine connection, hanging in this balance, the clarity you've been begging for, waiting behind this gate. And if they stand in your place when heaven calls the next name, the delay could stretch for months. Don't let it happen. Not again. You've already waited long enough. You've already watched others run with what looked like your vision. It's time. Reclaim it before they rename it. Type "I cancel the counterfeit" in the comments. Blessing code 818 now shields your destiny gates. This is your hour to be still and speak, to stand without shouting, to pray without panic, to anchor yourself in spiritual stillness so deep no demon can disturb your blessing again. Now that you know the auction is real, that the transaction is being prepared, that your blessing is under surveillance, what do you do? What is the proper posture when your name is being whispered in spiritual rooms where you were never invited? How do you respond when the counterfeit is circling and the next 60 minutes are decisive? The answer is not rage. The answer is not panic. The answer is not vengeance. The answer is positioning. The Spirit says, stay grounded. Stay sealed. Stay still, but speak. Your stillness is not passivity. It is strategy. It's the refusal to lower your frequency just to be heard by those who were never listening to your spirit. The enemy wants you to react emotionally. He wants you to throw words in anger. He wants you to start posting online, chasing explanations, defending yourself in carnal conversations. Oh, that is the trap. Because if you fight in the wrong dimension, you will lose in both. This is spiritual, and spiritual conflict requires spiritual armor. Put on your peace like a cloak. Wear your silence like a shield. Let the oil of discernment fall upon your ears so that you hear not just what they say, but what they mean. Because right now, the enemy is not just using strangers. He's using familiar spirits. People who look safe. People who carry your history but not your future. People who smile but speak poison when you leave the room. Let God show you. Let prayer filter your connections. Not everyone around you is aligned with what's about to be released to you. In this hour, do not explain yourself. Do not rush into unnecessary conversations. Do not try to rescue your reputation. God already cleared your name in the throne room. The courts of heaven already ruled in your favor. What you must do now is protect what hath been judged as yours. That means drawing back, listening to the Spirit's whispers, and building a protective circle of divine presence. When you pray, you are not just speaking, you are sealing. You are anchoring your future in a realm the enemy cannot touch. Let heaven fight for you. Let your silence speak louder than their accusations. When you pray, pray with authority. Pray with clarity. Pray with urgency. Don't just say words, issue decrees. Speak over your home, your hands, your name, your records, your contracts, your relationships. Every area where the enemy might be tempted to plant a lie, cover it. Seal it. Protect it. Say, no unauthorized spirit may speak for me. No voice may stand where I am ordained to walk. No name may sign where mine belongs. This is your hour to return to the secret place. Go back to the place of fire. The place where your soul once trembled in God's presence. Reignite your altar. This is not the moment to coast. This is the hour to burn. Let every corner of your life be touched by the flame of intercession. Turn off distractions. Disconnect from noise. Block the spirit of comparison. Fast if you need to. Consecrate your atmosphere. Because the more silent you become to the world, the louder your voice becomes in the spirit realm. And when you do that, when you sit in stillness but roar in the spirit, the auction collapses. The counterfeit loses interest. The enemy withdraws their bid, and what was almost stolen returns with interest. This hour isn't just about defending what's yours. It's about proving that what's within you is more powerful than anything formed against you. You don't need to convince people. You don't need to attend the auction. You just need to pray. So today, say nothing to the world. Say everything to heaven. They'll ask, "Why are you so calm?" And you'll answer, "Because I've already won in the spirit." Type, "I will not explain myself. I am covered in the comments." Blessing code 1919 now encircles your emotional shield. You were never meant to beg for what you were born for. You are not in a fight to survive. You are rising to rule. Your name is not up for bidding. It is already branded by heaven. It is time for the shift. Not the one coming in the clouds, but the one awakening inside of you right now. Because the moment you prayed, truly prayed, the transaction was interrupted. The counterfeit hands were pushed back. The scroll was retracted. And the flame that was prepared to consume what belonged to you was extinguished by your voice. That's how powerful you are in the spirit realm. You didn't need to scream. You didn't need a title. You didn't need permission. You just needed to stand in your rightful place. And now that you've done that, the shift has already begun. Let me be clear, you are not who they thought you were. You are not the broken, silent version they remember. You are not the timid spirit who hesitated at every door. You are not the uncertain soul who needed external validation. That version of you was a cocoon. But now, the cocoon is torn. The ashes have cleared. And what stands in its place is royalty. Fire-tested. Spirit-led. Heaven-backed. This is the version the enemy fears. This is the voice that cancels auctions, halts demonic negotiations, and reroutes stolen blessings back to their rightful owner. Every time you were overlooked, you were being preserved. Every time they talked about you, you were being mentioned in heaven. Every delay, training, every rejection, redirection. They thought you were hidden because you were unworthy. But you were hidden because God was preparing a version of you they wouldn't recognize. And now that you're rising, their weapons no longer fit. Their words no longer stick. Your access is revoked. This is the moment where you stop reacting and start ruling. Not with arrogance, but with authority. The kind of authority that's not based in position, but identity. You're not powerful because you shout. You're powerful because you know. You know who you are. You know whose you are. You know what you carry. And when you know, you don't flinch when they gossip. You don't fold when they withhold. You don't panic when they plot. Because you've already seen the blueprint in the spirit. You are the chosen one they overlooked. The one the enemy hoped would stay silent. The one they didn't think had the courage to speak back to darkness. But look at you, standing in light, speaking fire, walking in the fullness of your voice. You are not bidding for a blessing. You are the blessing. You are not competing for space. You create the space. The auction failed because it never had legal authority over your assignment. The only reason it came close was because you hadn't spoken. But now, you've spoken. You sealed it. You shifted. Every time you rise, something retreats. Every time you declare, a lie unravels. Every time you cover yourself in prayer, a demonic pattern collapses. This is what it means to walk in spiritual dominion. You are no longer reactive. You are prophetic. You are ahead. And the enemy has no strategy for someone who listens to heaven more than they listen to fear. This is who you are now. Elevated, empowered, and flame with holy clarity. And now that you know, you cannot go back. So rise like the royalty you are. Stand like the survivor you are. Speak like the storm breaker you've become. They can't touch what God has sealed. They can't mimic what God has made. They can't outrun what God has assigned. You don't have to chase anything. When you align, what's yours chases you. Out of the ashes you rise. Out of the silence, you roar. Out of the auction, you emerge not as a product, but as a prophet. Not as a bid, but as a blueprint. They tried to claim your name and heaven said, absolutely not. Type I am the shift. I am the seal in the comments. Blessing code 1441 is breaking every old identity and restoring divine dominion. This is not just survival. This is sacred reversal. What was almost stolen is now supernaturally restored. With interest. Your name was on the scroll, but now it's stamped with protected by heaven. A shift has happened. Not in the form of thunder, but in the silence of obedience. Not in loud claps from a crowd, but in the deep stillness where your spirit aligned with heaven's timing. And now, because you stood, because you spoke, because you covered yourself in intercession when they tried to auction your identity, the blessing is returning. But it's not coming back as it left. It's returning enlarged, enhanced, elevated. Because in the economy of heaven, anything delayed righteously becomes multiplied divinely. A spiritual auction collapsed. The counterfeit claimant was exposed. The hands that reached for your reward trembled and withdrew. And the reason is clear. Heaven heard your voice. The divine court received your decree. The seal of the Spirit has been placed back upon what was yours all along. The moment you decided to posture your soul in spiritual warfare, not carnal warfare, everything began to reverse. What was about to be lost hath been reclaimed. But it doesn't stop there. Because heaven is not just interested in stopping theft. Heaven is invested in your transformation. That means this wasn't just about preserving your blessing. It was about expanding your identity. The you that entered this moment is not the you that will exit. The one who once hesitated in prayer is now a warrior in worship. The one who once let silence speak fear now lets silence shout faith. Your posture has shifted. Your perspective has matured. And now you see, it was never just about the enemy. It was about unlocking the version of you that knew how to handle the blessing when it arrives. You're no longer just waiting for peace. You are peace. You're not hoping for favor. You're surrounded by it. What was once a fragile hope has become a firm knowing. You now understand why they came for you so hard, why the distractions multiplied, why the whispers got louder, why the delay felt endless. It's because this was the moment they feared. This hour, where you would no longer sit quietly while your blessing was handed off to impostors. This hour, where you would no longer apologize for your anointing. This hour, where your inner lion would rise and silence every tongue raised against you in judgment. And as your voice activated your authority, angels were dispatched. A reordering began. The ledger in heaven shifted. Your name was restored to the top of the list. The blessing, once threatened, is now protected by decree. And what's more, your enemies will witness the restoration, not to shame them, but to confirm to you that God wastes nothing, not even betrayal, not even delay, not even stolen opportunities. Everything they used against you will now become part of the testimony that elevates you. They will see the reward they tried to bid on and watch as it's placed into your hands. Expect confirmation. Expect clarity. Expect someone to come forward unexpectedly, with truth, with favor, with release. You won't have to chase them. Heaven will send them. Someone is being prompted right now to speak on your behalf, to open a door for you, to restore what was delayed. And when it happens, don't be surprised. It's not a coincidence. It's prophetic compensation. You passed the test, and now the vault is being opened. The breakthrough is not just coming. It has already begun. It started the moment you decided to cancel the counterfeit and align with divine instruction. You broke the cycle. You covered yourself. And now, your atmosphere is being swept clean by angelic wind. Your blessing is no longer on the market. It's on the move. And it's moving toward you. Type "My name is sealed. My blessing is released" in the comments. Blessing code 2020 confirms the transaction is complete. If you do nothing, the cycle repeats. But if you declare, if you move, if you respond, heaven will stamp your name in this moment, and what was once delayed will now accelerate. Now that the blessing has been redirected, now that the counterfeit has been canceled, now that heaven has spoken and the scroll bearing your name has been sealed in glory, there's one final thing required: your response. This is not the time to scroll past, to whisper an internal amen, or to say "that's nice" and move on. No. This is the hour for activation. Because in the courts of the Spirit, silence is not neutral, it's agreement. And to refuse to respond is to risk reopening what you just sealed. The reason this message reached your eyes is because heaven is offering you partnership. Divine breakthrough is not just delivered, it's received. And receiving is not passive, it is intentional. The blessing is coming down, yes. But the question is, will you open your hands in faith, or will you hold back out of habit? Because hesitation is the enemy of inheritance. You cannot afford to be quiet in the moment your destiny is being finalized. You must open your mouth. You must declare it. You must align yourself with this moment in motion. This is your call to action. Type it. Say it. Seal it. Whatever you do, don't let this word sit dormant inside your spirit. The words you type now are not for views or attention. They are spiritual contracts. Declarations that echo beyond this screen. When you type "I receive," or "My name is sealed," or "I cancel the counterfeit," you are not just agreeing, you are activating. You are participating in the divine reversal that heaven has begun on your behalf. Don't underestimate the power of your response. Every scroll in heaven requires agreement from earth. That's why angels wait. That's why confirmation lingers. They await your move. They await your sound. Because your voice gives legal access to divine intervention. This is not emotional hype. This is spiritual protocol. The kingdom of darkness trembles when a chosen one opens their mouth in alignment with God's timing. That's why your silence had been fought so hard. Because the enemy knows, if you ever fully agree with heaven out loud, every delay must be dissolved. So do it now. Break the pattern of passivity. Type your declaration in faith, not in fear, not in formality, but in holy boldness. Say, "I reclaim what's mine." Say, "No one else will stand in my place." Say, My name is sealed. My blessing is protected. As you write it, feel the alignment. Feel the fear loosen its grip. Feel heaven rise to meet you in real time. Because faith is not just belief, it is motion. And your motion now will determine what moves for you next. But don't stop with your fingers. Let your entire being come into agreement. Say it out loud. Say it in your home. Say it while you walk, while you sit, while you worship. Let your spirit erupt with fresh conviction. This is not a time to whisper. This is a time to decree. Because the sound of your obedience will become the key that unlocks the door. You don't need to force anything open. You only need to step into agreement. Your yes, right now, is the final act required to accelerate what's been hovering in your atmosphere. Watch what happens next. After this declaration, there will be signs. A conversation you weren't expecting. An apology that catches you off guard. A new opportunity that seems too aligned to be coincidence. That's confirmation. Heaven will send you signals. You won't have to beg for them. They'll arrive to prove that you responded in the right moment. And when they do, remember this moment. Remember this activation. Because it was never random. It was always divine. So right now, if this word hit your spirit, if you know something was nearly stolen, if you know heaven spoke to you through this message, then type it, declare it, release it. Let your obedience echo through the airwaves and into the spirit realm. Type I receive this word. I activate this shift in the comments. Blessing code 1313 confirms your agreement with divine motion. Your next season just began. They thought your silence meant surrender, but your silence was strategy. They thought the blessing could be bought, but your identity is not for sale. You are not a victim. You are the vessel. You are not the broken one. You are the breakthrough. Now breathe. Not the shallow breath of survival, but the deep inhale of spiritual victory. Because you didn't just hear this word, you answered it. You didn't just scroll through truth. You stood up in it. And heaven has documented every second of it. Every word you typed. Every whisper of agreement. Every moment you shifted from silence to surrender. Not to fear, but to faith. This was never about watching a message. It was about walking into your mandate. Let it echo now. You are covered. You are no longer vulnerable to spiritual impersonators. No longer open to emotional manipulators. No longer standing unguarded while demons try to price tag your promise. The auction is over, and your name was not for sale. It never was. Because your name was written, not printed. Your identity was carved in the spirit before you were even formed in the womb. And no one can rename what heaven already knows. No one can bid for what's already been sealed by divine decree. And now, after this word, after your alignment, after your activation, you are untouchable. They may still talk. Let them. They may still whisper. Let them. They may still assume. Let them. Because while they converse in darkness, you rise in light. While they orchestrate rumors, you orchestrate revival. While they try to pull strings behind your back, heaven is weaving a crown on your head. You are not the subject of gossip. You are the subject of grace. And grace always wins. Grace always restores. Grace always elevates. That's why the attack intensified. Because what's coming next is more than a blessing. It's a banner. You are light in human form. You carry the oil of the overcomer. The enemy thought this would break you, but it only exposed your brilliance. You are not shattered glass. You are a sharpened sword. not the victim of silence, but the master of stillness. This is not just a spiritual recovery, it's a spiritual coronation. The heavens have not just returned what was yours. They've added honor to it. And you'll know it when the next door opens with ease. When the next voice affirms what you already knew. When the next opportunity comes clothed in peace, not pressure. From this moment forward, walk like you are sealed. Speak like you are backed by angels. Live like your presence shifts atmospheres. Because it does. Because you do. You are not here by accident. You are not listening to this by luck. You are not rising because of effort alone. You are rising because the throne room declared, it is time. And what God ordains, no voice can overturn. What God seals, no demon can snatch. What God restores, no counterfeit can replicate. That is your covering. That is your confidence. That is your call. To walk boldly, move deliberately, pray constantly, rest deeply, because the war is over and the scroll has been sealed. Let them whisper, let them plot, let them replay the past. You don't have time to look back. You are on assignment. You are in motion. You are becoming what the darkness hoped you'd never figure out. A walking revelation. Let this final affirmation ring through every layer of your being. You are not a victim. You are the verdict. You are not the warning. You are the wonder. You are not in danger. You are in dominion. You are not waiting for breakthrough. You are the breakthrough. Type I am the verdict. I am sealed by heaven in the comments. Blessing code 3030 declares full spiritual closure and divine permanence over your promise. Your name is no longer vulnerable. Your blessing is no longer threatened. Your future is no longer up for auction. It's all yours now.